What if everything you thought you knew about Marika's reign in the lands between was just a fraction of the truth? Beyond the shattered shards and familiar locales lies a hidden empire, a forgotten dominion orchestrated by the very queen we thought we understood. Prepare to peel back the layers of obscurity and uncover the true scale of Marika's influence. In this video, we're not just going to chase after a single question. We'll unravel the true meaning behind that line from the Shadow of the Erdtree trailer,
the seduction and the betrayal.
Uncover the hidden identity of the statue in Farum Azula, and explain why Radagon could never be Messmer's father. All of it woven into a timeline that exposes Marika's darkest secrets. What if the Crucible, the primordial form of the Erdtree, wasn't just a myth, but the dawn of an entire age? An era where all life was fused as one, and beasts with countless affinities reigned over the lands between. As the endings of Elden Ring reveal, the laws of nature follow a pattern. Every age has its own name, its own god, its chosen vessel, and its own transformed Elden Ring. The Age of the Crucible represents the very origin of that cycle, with Farum Azula as its capital and Placidusax as its Elden Lord. This age's Elden Ring might still echo in the carving found in Maliketh's boss arena, the prototype of the ring we know today. From the remembrance of the Dragon Lord, we learn that the god of this era one day vanished without a single clue as to their identity. Throughout Farum Azula, statues are scattered depicting a woman holding a newborn. Clearly inspired by depictions of the Virgin Mary, these statues appear in several places, except for one. In Maliketh's arena, a unique version of this statue emerges, never seen again elsewhere in the lands between, a mystery begging to be solved. At first, I thought the figure might represent Radagon, as I once argued in a previous video, but a recent discovery changed everything. In Polish folklore, there exists a lesser-known depiction of the Holy Mother Mary, the Holy Mother of Gromnice. She is portrayed as a woman, sometimes a young girl, often accompanied by wolves and holding a thunder candle, a guardian figure who brings light, protection, and strength through faith. The parallels are striking. The statue in Maliketh's arena is surrounded by wolves. She holds no candle, yet candles burn at her feet, and in her hair rests a branch, eerily similar to the plant known as mullein, traditionally used as the wick for thunder candles. This cannot be coincidence. When we compare the folklore to its placement in Elden Ring, the meaning becomes clear. The statue represents the protective goddess of Farum Azula, the very deity of Placidusax, a goddess who, at some point, simply disappeared. But the question remains, who was she truly? The godskin swaddling cloth, resembling a hand-stitched serpent egg, reveals why the followers of the Glomide Queen bear traits of the serpent. It marks them unmistakably as remnants of the Age of the Crucible, where life itself was a fusion of man and beast, human and reptile. As an Empyrean, the Glomide Queen had the potential to ascend to true godhood, and as I've uncovered in earlier videos, her ties to Farum Azula and the serpent run deep, making her the absolute antithesis of Marika. And if you want to dive even further into her possible connections with ancient Egypt, go check out my previous lore video. In Maliketh's arena, we find the mysterious statue strikingly reminiscent of Miquella's vow in the Shadow of the Erdtree cutscene, standing beneath the Elden Ring of the Crucible era, as if caught in the very moment the fingers chose her to ascend. I believe this statue is the one and only depiction of the Glome-eyed Queen within the game. If that's true, then she was the goddess of the Age of the Crucible, and the evidence doesn't stop there. To bring forth the Golden Order, and later the Age of the Erdtree, Marika had to achieve one thing: remove the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring. And to do that, she had to defeat the Glome-eyed Queen. The item descriptions tell us as much. The Rune of Death was her source of power, and likely her personal rune. And Marika did not act alone. With Maliketh at her side, she struck down the Glome-eyed Queen, long before she herself ascended as goddess and waged war against the Omen. In my view, it was this victory that allowed the Rune of Death to be stripped away and sealed, making true death itself impossible from that moment forward. Just look at the wandering, charred spirits of the Omen. Their deaths are no longer real, but cursed echoes. The Glome-eyed Queen was vanquished. The god of Farum Azula disappeared. The Rune of Death was sealed away, and everything was set in motion for Marika to claim the empty throne. and rise as a god.
The seduction and the betrayal.
Gold arose, and so was Shadowborn. This single line from the Shadow of the Erdtree trailer haunted me for weeks. But I can tell you now, it hides far more lore than most realize. Ever since the trailer dropped, speculation has run wild about Messmer's father. Many point to Radagon, and at first glance, the evidence seems convincing. Messmer's fiery red curls, the echoes of Radagon's theme in his boss fight, even his butterfly motif, often seen as a mark of Marika and Radagon's children. Most lore channels accept this theory, and for good reason, but it's wrong. Radagon cannot be Messmer's father. The Remembrance of the Wild Boar Rider tells us that Messmer and Commander Gaius were like elder brothers to Radon, which means Messmer predates Radon himself. For Radagon to be his father, he and Marika would have had to be together before Radagon ever fathered children with Renala, and we know that wasn't the case, so who fathered Messmer? Look closer at his nature. Like his younger sister, his entire being is tied to fire. The only figure that fits is the Fell God, the keeper of the flame. His worshippers, the fire monks, are marked by the same red hair, a sign of their devotion to this deity. During Messmer's crusade against the Hornsent, we see furnace golems bearing the very visage of the Fell God, a reflection of his lineage, just as Radon immortalized Radagon's red hair in his own helm. Now let's return to the Shadow of the Erdtree trailer. First we witness Marika ascending at the Gate of Divinity, followed by the line, "What followed was a war unseen." Immediately after, we see the images of Messmer's crusade. But here's the thing, Messmer wasn't even present at that first scene. He wasn't born yet. What we do see are flayed corpses, sacrifices, but no fire. And we already know who sacrificed in this way, the Gloam-eyed Queen. So what if it was the Gloam-eyed Queen who first raised the Gate of Divinity, and in doing so, ascended as the original goddess? The Hornsent themselves seem to worship both her and Faramazula. It makes sense. Only after her fall could Marika step through the same gate, claim divinity, and establish the Golden Order. She seduced the Fell God,
The seduction
and turned against the Gloam-eyed Queen,
and the betrayal.
laying the foundation for her new order.
An affair from which gold arose.
And with it, the birth of Messmer, the Impaler.
And so too was Shadow born.
Once her goal was achieved, she discarded the Fell God, just as she would later discard Godfrey. She exiled him once his purpose was fulfilled, and took another lord at her side. Godfrey would follow as her first consort and Elden Lord. But the price of ending the Age of the Crucible was heavy. Marika was cursed to bear 2 children marked by horns and shadow. Years later, Marika exacted vengeance on the Hornsent for what they had done to her people, the Numen. The crusade was led by none other than her son, Messmer, consumed by hatred. But this was more than simple revenge. Its true purpose was to seal the Gate of Divinity. At the dawn of the Golden Order, it seemed that every force stood against the Erdtree, and every enemy would pay the price. Yet one final obstacle remained. The eternal flame of the fire giants, guarded by none other than the Fell God himself. This fire was powerful enough to reduce the Erdtree to ash and prevent the age Marika sought to create. So she unleashed Godfrey and his warriors upon the fire giants, commanding them to slay their god. And once the Fell God was struck down, Godfrey's purpose was complete. Just as she had done before, Marika cast aside her champion.
My lord, and thy warriors, I divest each of thee of thy grace. With thine eyes dimmed, ye will be driven from the lands between.
Godfrey and his kin were exiled, their service erased in an instant, and in his place, Radagon rose as her second consort. Marika was a Numen, a race of outsiders who came to the lands between from beyond. In the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, we learned that Marika and her kin once settled in Shaman Village. Phantom dialogue and item descriptions from Bonnie Village reveal the grim truth. The shamans were brutally oppressed by the Hornsent, rulers of the Land of Shadow. They were tortured with whips and even stuffed into jars, as described by the Bonnie butchering knife. Ancient rituals exploited shaman flesh for its unique property, its ability to merge seamlessly with others, and that is the key. It explains how Radagon and Marika could fuse into one being. From that union, the Age of the Erdtree was born. The bond between Marika, Radagon, and the Elden Beast itself reflects an ancient concept, the rebus, the final stage of the alchemical magnum opus, the great work. The reconciliation of spirit and matter, the fusion of masculine and feminine into a single perfected form. Traditional images depict it as a red king joined with a white queen. Marika wielded the fell god and Godfrey as weapons of conquest, tools to achieve her victories. But Radagon was different. With him, she sought completion. Through him, she embodied the god's desire for the magnum opus, the final work that would bring forth the age of the Erdtree. Yet, in the end, even this grand design collapses. For we, the Tarnished, strike down Radagon, Marika, and the Elden Beast itself, and in their fall, the cycle begins anew, leading to a different age, shaped by the ending we choose. And so, from the Crucible's forgotten age, to the betrayal of the Gloam-eyed Queen, to the birth of Messmer and the rise of the Golden Order, a hidden history begins to take shape, a history veiled in shadow, stitched together from fragments, item descriptions, and the statues left to gather dust in Farum Azula. Marika's reign was never as simple as gold triumphant over shadow. It was a story of sacrifice, seduction, betrayal, and the pursuit of something far greater, the magnum opus, the union of two into one. But here's the question that lingers. If gold gave birth to shadow, what new shadow might rise when the Erdtree finally falls? Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into Marika's darkest secrets. If you enjoyed unraveling these mysteries, don't forget to leave a like, share your own theories in the comments, and subscribe for the next descent into the lore of the lands between. Because this was only the beginning.